The Voice That Crosses the Valley of Wind. Chapter 1, The Whispering Stones. I have lived in the Valley of Wind for as long as I can remember. There are no clocks here, no calendars, and certainly no days to count. The sun simply glows above the pale cliffs when it's time to wake, and disappears quietly behind the soft blue hills when it's time to rest. There is no sound of footsteps in this valley, except my own. And even those are barely more than a hush, like the swish of silk brushing over moss. The wind is constant here. Not harsh. Not loud. Just, always present. It moves gently through the tall reeds, carrying faint scents of forgotten flowers, and sometimes, just sometimes, it carries voices. Not spoken ones, more like the memory of voices. Like someone once spoke long ago, and the words chose not to fade. I walk barefoot along the stone path that curves around the cliffs. The stones are warm from the sun. Each one seems to hum beneath my soles, as if they have their own quiet lives and stories to tell. There is one stone, particularly flat and wide, that I always sit on in the morning. I call it Whisper. Because when I place my palm upon it and close my eyes, I hear the softest murmur, like a secret told from far away. Today, Whisper is especially chatty. A soft, rhythmic pulse comes from deep within the stone, almost like breathing. Not mine. Something older. Calmer. I listen. I don't try to understand. Understanding isn't really important here. Listening is. The wind curls around me like a curious friend, ruffling the sleeves of my robe. It carries a scent I've never known before, like fruit and rain mixed together. And a sound comes with it, a bell, perhaps, but far, far away. I open my eyes and look toward the far edge of the valley, where cliffs fall into mist and the path disappears. I have never gone beyond that point. The path seems to end there, swallowed by cloud. But maybe today, it won't. Maybe the path will continue. I rise slowly, brushing dust from my robe. The stone beneath me sighs. A soft breeze pushes at my back, not insisting, just suggesting. So I walk. The path ahead is lined with pebbles the color of tea leaves, each one singing its own tiny song. I don't rush. There's no need to rush in the Valley of Wind. As I walk, I hum softly to myself. It's not a song I know. It's a tune that rises up naturally, like mist from a lake. Sometimes, the stones echo my notes, answering with low, musical tones that resonate in my chest. I pause at a bend where the cliff grows narrow. Below, the valley floor is hidden beneath a thick, gentle fog. Above, the sky stretches wide and pale, a soft canvas of muted blues and creamy whites. There are no birds here. No insects. No creatures at all, as far as I've ever seen. Just the wind, the stones, and me. And maybe, the memory of others. Once, I found a mark carved into the side of a stone wall. It was a symbol I didn't recognize, but I felt something when I touched it. A flicker. Like a smile pressed gently against the air. Sometimes I wonder, was there a time before I came to this valley? Did I live somewhere else? Did I speak to others? Was my voice ever loud? I don't know. I don't need to know. The quiet here is complete. Not empty, just full of softness. The path curves again. And the mist ahead begins to thin. I can see the edge. The edge I've never crossed. The bell's sound returns, clearer now. Still distant, but no longer impossibly far. It seems to call not with urgency, but with welcome. Like the door of a house swinging open and the smell of something warm inside. I reach the end of the stones I know. The ground beneath my feet shifts, soft earth replaces warm stone. The air is cooler. Still kind. The mist parts slowly as I walk through, not resisting me, but folding away like the pages of a book. Beyond the mist, I see something unexpected. Not cliffs. Not trees. But a long, narrow bridge made entirely of woven branches and wind. It doesn't creak or sway. It simply exists, as if it always has. The wind that shaped it still whispers through its strands, singing gently as I approach. I place one foot on it. It holds me. It feels like walking on a breath. Each step I take brings a soft tone from the bridge, like a harp being played by invisible fingers. And then, a voice. Not in my head. Not imagined. A real voice. Soft. Low. Humming the same melody I had been humming earlier. But I'm alone, aren't I? I pause. The voice continues. And it's not quite a voice, not exactly. It's the wind, maybe. Or the bridge. Or the valley itself. It hums to me. And I hum back. We walk together, me, and the not quite voice. We cross the bridge. At the end of it, a wide open plain stretches out, covered in tall, silver grass that moves as though listening. The stones are gone. The cliffs are behind me. But I don't feel lost. I feel carried. Like I'm no longer walking, but drifting forward on something gentler than footsteps. The bell's sound has faded. Now there is only the whispering grass and the hush of distant air moving slowly forward. I close my eyes, just for a moment. The earth hums beneath me. The voice is still with me. And everything else is still. Chapter 2: The House That Grew from Silence. The field of silver grass is endless. Each blade sways with such grace it's hard to tell whether the wind is moving them, or they are moving the wind. I walk through them slowly, feeling their feathery tips brush my fingers and arms. There's no path here, no direction laid out, yet my feet know where to go. It's not that I've been here before. It's more like, the place has been waiting for me. In the distance, barely visible through the gentle shimmer of the grass, I see something rise, a shape, soft and uneven dot. It's not stone dot. It's not tree. It's a house dot. But not built dot. It's grown. Walls of moss and wood weave together like the bones of a forest dot. Its roof is layered with wide, leafy petals that curl in the breeze dot. Windows shimmer faintly, not glass, but something clearer, something like still water caught mid-song. As I get closer, I notice the doorway dot. There's no door dot. Just an arch of branches, open and waiting. I pause at the threshold dot. My hand rests lightly against the curve of the frame dot. It's warm dot. And pulsing dot. Not quickly, just slow, steady breaths. I whisper, hello. Not expecting an answer, but giving the silence a shape to wear. Inside, it's cool dot. Dim, but not dark dot. Light comes in through the water windows, casting ripples of soft blue across the earthen floor. There are no chairs dot. No beds dot. But I do not feel the absence of them. Instead, there are gentle hollows in the walls, shelves filled with objects I've never seen, but somehow recognize. A feather wrapped in silk dot. A stone with a tiny door carved into it dot. A bell with no clapper dot. A jar of dried petals that hum when held close. I walk through the house slowly and the floor welcomes me dot. It adjusts to each step, not creaking, but sighing gently beneath my feet. One room opens into another without walls, without corners dot. Just quiet transitions, like thoughts moving from one to the next. There's a sound here dot. Not music, not speech dot. More like, listening dot. The house is listening. I sit by one of the shimmering windows dot. Outside, the grass continues its silent dance dot. Inside, everything holds stillness like a cherished treasure. I rest my hand on the floor dot. It's warm, and beneath it, I feel something like a heartbeat. Not mine dot. The house's. I breathe in slowly dot. The air smells like paper and rain dot. Like stories not yet told. I find a small bowl near the center of the room, filled with clear water dot. The surface doesn't reflect me, instead, it shows a sky I've never seen. A sky filled with drifting islands, floating slowly through clouds shaped like animals that never lived. I stare into it, losing sense of my surroundings. And then, a whisper. But it's not from the water dot. It's not from outside dot. It's from the walls. I tilt my head. It speaks again, not with words, but with tone, a lullaby hummed from long ago, from someone who once waited here. I close my eyes and lean against the wall. The house holds me dot. Not tightly, but like a memory holding on to its shape. I don't think of time dot. I don't think of past or future dot. I just exist dot. And in this space, that feels complete. After some time, the hum fades. Not abruptly, just like a candle deciding it's done for the night. I rise slowly. Outside, the light is softer now, more golden. The house doesn't ask me to stay. Nor does it push me to leave. It simply allows. I step outside, and as my feet touch the ground, I feel a gentle pressure on my shoulder. Like a hand. Or a farewell. I don't turn back. I walk. The grass parts before me, not bending, just shifting. As though it remembers where I've stepped and wants to help me continue. Far ahead, beyond the waving silver, I see a glow. Not bright. Not urgent. Just a soft beacon, like a star that forgot to rise with the others. I move toward it, and the air begins to change. Still gentle, but cooler. Crisper. I reach a clearing where no grass grows. Instead, the earth is soft and spongy, dotted with tiny, glowing mushrooms. They do not shine brightly, just enough to be seen. Like dreams whispering from the corners of closed eyes. I crouch down and touch one. It hums. Softly. A familiar tune. The same one I heard in the house. I smile without meaning to. There's a path here. Not made of stone or wood, but of sound. Each step I take brings a note. Not loud. Not sharp. Just a gentle tone, as if the ground itself is composing something with me. I hum along, and the path seems pleased. It curves gently, guiding me. No map. No signs. Just harmony. Eventually, the path leads to a small hill. At the top, I stop. Below me lies a lake, still, silver, silent. The moon hangs low above it, though I didn't notice night falling. The stars twinkle slowly, not hurried, not bright, just present. I sit on the hill, legs tucked beneath me, and listen. No words. No wind. Just presence. And the faintest hum, still with me. Perhaps from the house. Perhaps from myself. But it doesn't matter. All things here belong to silence. And silence, as it turns out, knows how to sing. Chapter 3: The River That Carries Forgotten Names. The stars watched me for a long time that night. I don't know how many hours passed or whether time even dared to move while I sat atop that gentle hill. All I know is that at some point, a breeze arrived, cool, slow, deliberate. It curled around my arms like a shawl and whispered, "It's time to move again." I rose, not hurriedly. Nothing here asks for haste. Everything invites patience. Below, the lake shimmered like a sleeping thought. But I didn't walk toward it. Instead, my feet found a soft trail to the side, winding down into a hollow where the earth grew rich and damp. Each step brought a new scent, of moss, of bark, of stone after rain. Then, I heard it. A soft sound, barely more than a breath, the trickle of moving water. At first, it was just a suggestion, a question drifting through the air. But with each step, it grew clearer, until it became a voice of its own, one that never needed words to be understood. I came upon the river as it curved between gentle banks, its surface silvered like liquid dusk. It didn't rush or tumble. It didn't boast. It simply moved, carrying time in its flow, as if each ripple bore the memory of a moment once felt and gently released. I knelt by its edge and touched the water. It was cool. Not cold. Not startling. Just enough to remind me that I, too, could be carried. As my fingers stirred the surface, a faint shimmer rose, not a reflection, but a pattern. Letters, softly glowing, floated beneath the water. Not carved or painted. Not printed. They moved like fish, slow, graceful, unafraid. Names. I couldn't read them. They weren't in any language I knew, and yet, they felt familiar. As if they had once belonged to me. Or to people I had loved, in a world I no longer remembered. I spoke one aloud, though I wasn't sure if I said it correctly. And the river shimmered. Not loudly. Just enough to say, I heard you. I stood, and the water's song shifted. A path of smooth, flat stones rose above the current, stretching like stepping thoughts across the water. Not a bridge, more like an invitation. I stepped onto the first stone. It hummed softly, a sound like breath drawn in. The second stone responded with an exhale. With each step, the rhythm grew: inhale, exhale, rise, release. The river guided me. Halfway across, I paused. The sky above was turning a deeper blue, stars now drifting lazily like leaves on a pond. And then, a figure appeared in the water. Not beside me. Not reflected. Just there, within. It wasn't a person. Not quite. More like the idea of one. A shadow made of memory. It looked up at me, eyes soft and endless. No fear. No urgency. Just, knowing. It placed a hand upon its chest, and then reached upward toward me. I mirrored the gesture, my palm facing downward toward the water. We stayed like that for a while, connected not by touch, but by something gentler, recognition, perhaps. Eventually, the figure smiled, turned, and dissolved into light, carried downstream by the current. I stepped onto the last stone. The river behind me continued its soft murmuring. The forest ahead opened, not with grandeur, but like a friend opening their arms. Here, the trees were tall and slender, their trunks pale as moonlight, their leaves whispering in voices too quiet to hear. I walked among them, and each step echoed back a memory I didn't know I had. The scent of old paper. The sound of wind through curtains. The way a blanket feels on a winter morning. These were not my memories. Or maybe they were, lost in the folds of time, carried away by rivers just like this one. At the heart of the forest, I found a clearing. A single tree stood there, its bark woven with names like the rivers, each glowing softly, each breathing. I walked to it slowly, rested my hand against its trunk. A warmth spread through my arm, through my chest, through the quiet corners of my mind. I heard a name, Dot. Not with my ears, with everything else. And for a brief moment, I remembered someone, Dot. Not clearly, Dot. Not sharply. Just a warmth, Dot. A smile, Dot. A hand once held. And then the tree sighed. A breeze moved through the clearing, lifting the leaves in a slow, swirling dance, Dot. The names rose with them, floating upward into the sky like lanterns, Dot. Not vanishing, just becoming something new. I sat at the base of the tree, and the earth held me gently, Dot. The stars above blinked slowly, not watching, but resting. The river, though far behind me now, still whispered in the wind, Dot. It sang not of what was lost, but of what had been carried. And in that song, I rested. Chapter 4: The Garden That Listens to Dreams. The clearing faded behind me like the end of a gentle song, Dot. I didn't stand up so much as I drifted upward, carried by some unseen current that held no weight, no direction, just presence. The trees thinned, Dot. Their trunks grew pale and wide-spaced, like they, too, were slowing down. And then I found it, Dot. Or rather, it found me, Dot. The garden. I didn't know it was a garden at first, Dot. There were no gates, Dot. No neat rows or fences, Dot. Only an endless field of soft colors and winding shapes, petals that shimmered without moving, vines that curled like questions whispered in sleep, moss that pulsed faintly beneath each step like the beat of an old lullaby. The ground felt almost cloud-like beneath me, and each step made no sound at all, Dot. But something was listening, Dot. That much, I could feel. The air shimmered gently, as if it held secrets not meant to be spoken aloud, secrets wrapped in softness. I walked deeper. Flowers of every size and shape opened as I passed, not with suddenness, but with awareness, as though they recognized me. Some petals reached toward my hands, Dot. Others leaned back as if bowing. They weren't asking anything, Dot. They weren't offering anything, Dot. They were just, with me. I came upon a small pool in the center of the garden, Dot. It wasn't made of water, but of something thicker, silver and soft, like melted moonlight. When I looked into it, I didn't see myself, Dot. I saw fragments, Dot. Of moments, Dot. Of feelings. A window left open during rain, Dot. A hand brushing against soft fur, Dot. A hallway filled with morning light. None of them belonged to this place, Dot. None of them belonged to now. But all of them felt known. I sat beside the pool, Dot. The petals nearby gathered around me as if settling in to listen. And then, I dreamed. Not the kind of dream that comes in sleep, Dot. Not the kind filled with story or image. This dream was quieter. It came in pieces, like soft bells ringing one at a time from places just out of sight. I didn't see things. I felt them. The warmth of a memory once left behind. The ache of something never said. The joy of a laugh that once lit a whole room. The garden listened. And as I breathed, it responded. A vine coiled gently around my wrist, cool and steady. It hummed low. Not a melody, just a tone, like a thought being acknowledged. I touched one of the nearby flowers, a pale blue bloom with a heart that pulsed like a tiny lantern. The moment my fingers brushed it, I heard a voice. Not external. Not loud. Just internal and wide. It wasn't a word. It was a permission. I closed my eyes and let it in. Suddenly, I was a child, running barefoot through tall grass, wind in my teeth, sunlight in my chest. I was not alone. A laugh beside me. Someone I trusted. Someone I knew, once. Then it faded, not like a door slamming shut, but like a song completing itself. I opened my eyes, and the garden around me glowed gently. Petals curled inwards, as if resting after listening. The pool shimmered again. New ripples. I saw a memory not my own. An old man in a chair, rocking slowly, humming to the rhythm of rain. His eyes closed. His hands still. Then another, a child standing in a room full of clocks, each ticking at a different pace. Each memory held its own shape, its own music. And all of them rested here. In this garden. I realized then, this was a place for dreams that had no home. For thoughts never spoken. For feelings too soft to survive elsewhere. And somehow, it had made room for mine. I rose gently. The vines withdrew, the petals bowed once more. As I stepped away from the pool, a breeze moved through the garden, slow and wide. And with it came whispers. Not words. Not questions. Just the sound of things being remembered. A low hum began, deep within the garden. The ground itself vibrated faintly, a pulse syncing with my breath. I followed the sound. Not walking. More like floating. The garden opened before me. The petals made way. The moss grew cooler. And at the edge, a path. Not marked. Not straight. But waiting. I turned back once. The garden shimmered. Its flowers glowing gently. Its heart still. It would remain. Listening. Cradling. I stepped onto the path. Each footfall was weightless, as if I had become part of the dream myself. The trees returned, but they didn't block the light. They simply stood, quiet witnesses to whatever came next. Above, the stars blinked slower. The sky deepened into velvet. And all around me, the world listened. And I walked on. Chapter 5, The Clockmaker Who Never Measured Time. The path led me deeper into a forest unlike any I had walked through before. It wasn't dark, though the sky above had shifted to a deeper, richer blue, a color that felt almost edible, like ripe fruit at the edge of dusk. The trees here were ancient. Their trunks twisted in spirals that reached toward the sky as though climbing stories instead of light. Their bark shimmered faintly with threads of gold, as if time itself had brushed its fingers along their sides. I didn't hear birds. I didn't hear footsteps. I heard only ticking. Soft. Constant. Tick. Talk. Not mechanical, but organic, like wood breathing in patterns. The sound came not from any single place, but from everywhere, woven into the silence like embroidery in a winter scarf. I followed it. Eventually, the forest opened into a small clearing, circular and perfectly still. In its center stood a tower, not tall, but round and warm-looking, like it had grown from the earth rather than been built upon it. Vines spiraled up its sides, each leaf shaped like a different clock hand. At the top was a window, glowing with a steady golden light. And beside the tower's round door stood a figure. Small, hunched, gentle. The clockmaker. He wore a robe stitched with stars, and his hands, though ancient, moved with the grace of water. He didn't speak as I approached. He only nodded, and the door behind him opened soundlessly. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of time, old wood, warm metal, and forgotten moments. The walls were lined with clocks. But none of them ticked. None of them moved. Each one displayed a different time, and yet the room was utterly still. The clockmaker motioned for me to sit, and I did, on a cushion that sighed beneath my weight. He moved to a table at the center of the room, where a single clock stood, a pocket watch, suspended in a jar of what looked like honeyed light. He reached for it slowly, and the moment his fingers touched it, I felt something shift inside me. Not a memory. Not a thought. More like the loosening of a thread that had been too tight for too long. The clockmaker looked at me, and finally, he spoke. But not in words. His voice came as images. A swing moving on its own, a candle that burned upside down, a child tracing hours in the sand with their finger. I understood. Time, in this place, wasn't measured. It was felt. It wasn't about minutes or hours, but about presence. About stillness. About noticing. The clockmaker handed me the pocket watch. It was warm. And when I opened it, I saw no numbers. Only colors, soft swirls of blue, rose, and violet, all blending like watercolors kissed by breath. I closed my eyes and held the watch to my ear. It ticked. Once. Only once. And with that single sound, I saw everything at once, the garden of dreams, the river of names, the bridge of breath, the stone called whisper. All of it. As if time had decided, just for me, to show its face. When I opened my eyes again, the clockmaker had disappeared. Only the sound of the single tick remained, echoing gently within me. I stood dot. The clocks around the room were changing dot. Not moving, just becoming quieter. The hands no longer pointed to hours dot. They pointed to emotions dot. To seasons dot. To pauses. I left the tower slowly. Outside, the stars had shifted. Now they moved. Not fast, just enough to be noticed if you watched patiently. And I did dot. I watched. For what could have been an hour dot. Or a lifetime. There was no rush. Eventually, I walked again. The forest softened dot. The trees grew fewer. And in the distance, I heard the sound of waves dot. Not ocean waves, but waves of light, of quiet. I didn't know what lay ahead dot. But I knew it would wait for me. Because here, nothing chases dot. Nothing flees. Time does not demand dot. It welcomes. Chapter 6, The Silence That Waits Beyond the Horizon. The sound I had mistaken for waves grew softer as I moved forward dot. It wasn't water dot. It wasn't wind dot. It was something deeper, a kind of listening that stretched across the horizon, vast and patient. The forest behind me faded into a memory of trees dot. And before me, the land opened into a wide plain, so still it felt as though nothing had ever touched it dot. No footprints dot. No roots dot. Only gentle hills draped in soft shadow, like folded fabric on the edge of a dream. I walked without direction dot. There was no path dot. There didn't need to be dot. Everything here welcomed me without question dot. The ground accepted each step with quiet gratitude dot. The sky offered no sun, no moon, only a soft light that had no source and needed none. My breath was the only sound, but even that began to dissolve, as though the air itself was learning to breathe for me. I came upon a single stone in the middle of the plain dot. Round dot. Smooth dot. Worn not by touch, but by time that never asked for anything in return. I sat. And the silence sat with me. It wasn't emptiness dot. It was full dot. So full, in fact, that it had no need to speak. It filled the space behind my eyes, within my chest, around my fingers. The ticking from the clockmaker's watch had faded dot. Now, there was only the gentle rise and fall of nothing in particular. And I understood. This was not an end dot. Nor a beginning dot. This was the space that existed between them, a soft pause, like the breath before a song, the stillness before the first snow. As I sat, I felt the stories I had gathered settle beside me dot. Not as burdens, but as companions. The bridge of breath, the whispering stone, the river of names, the dream-filled garden, the watch that told no time. Each one sat quietly within me, not asking to be remembered, but simply choosing not to leave. The silence wrapped around us like a gentle wind that had no origin dot. And then, a sound. Not loud dot. Not sharp dot. Just one soft tone dot. like a string plucked once in the deepest part of the world. It echoed for a long time. Not outward, inward. And in that single note, everything folded. I saw the garden bloom again. I saw names dissolve into light. I saw dreams curl into petals. I saw the stars shift, then sigh. And I saw myself, not as a figure moving through a world, but as a thread within it. Not separate. Not a part. But part of the weave itself. I lay back onto the grass, which was not grass at all, but softness made into shape. The sky above was no longer blue, nor black, nor even sky. It was just presence. And then, for the first time since I could remember, I let go. Not of thought. Not of memory. I let go of holding on. Because there was nothing left to hold. Only this. A silence so complete, so gentle, so full of everything that it felt like the world had finally exhaled. I closed my eyes, and I didn't fall. I didn't rise. I simply remained, drifting within stillness as familiar as my own name and older than anything I had ever known. No voice called me. No thought pressed forward. Just stillness. And that was enough.